One crime, 1,000 questions. Welcome to True Crime Briefing, where the truth is never buried for long.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. A quiet August afternoon in 1999. Mary Bowles, 77 years old, kind-hearted and gentle, had just finished shopping. As she returned to her car, two strangers approached. Within seconds, she was gone. Kidnapped. Murdered. One man would be caught. Another would vanish into the system. His name, John Fitzgerald Hanson. What followed was a legal standoff that lasted over 2 decades. A convicted killer, protected by the federal government. Until now. Today we unravel the chilling story of Hanson's crime, the long-fought battle for justice, and the questions still haunting Oklahoma as the clock ticks toward his execution. This is not just a story about murder. It's about how long the arm of justice can really reach, and who it leaves behind. Before her name appeared in court records and news headlines, Mary Bowles lived an unremarkable but meaningful life. Born in 1922, she was the daughter of Depression-era parents. She grew up during a time when women were expected to stay home. But Mary broke that mold, working her way into the banking sector, retiring after 40 years. Her husband passed in 1989, and she spent the next decade staying active in her community. Every Sunday, she volunteered at her church. She helped tutor students in financial literacy at a local high school. And on Tuesdays, she ran errands, always alone, always on schedule. On Tuesday, August 31st, 1999, she left home with a grocery list, a bank deposit slip, and plans to pick up some new slacks. She never made it home. That night, her daughter grew worried. Calls went unanswered. The next morning, a silver alert was issued. At first, police thought she may have become disoriented or had a medical episode. But that theory didn't hold up when her car was also missing. What followed would be a 72-hour manhunt, and the truth they uncovered shocked even seasoned detectives. CCTV footage from the Promenade Mall captured the last known moments of Mary's life. She's seen walking to her car. 2 men, later identified as John Hanson and Victor Cornell Miller, linger nearby. Police later reconstructed what happened. The men followed Mary in a stolen vehicle. Once she reached her car, they overpowered her and forced her into the passenger seat. Hanson drove. Miller held a gun. They drove her north, outside Tulsa city limits, eventually reaching a remote gravel pit near Owasso. As they prepared to kill her, 38-year-old Jerald Max Thurman, a blue-collar contractor who'd taken a wrong turn, stumbled upon the scene. Thurman was shot dead instantly. Moments later, Mary Bowles was executed with a single gunshot wound. Her jewelry was ripped off her body, her purse stolen, and then the men left her body in the weeds like trash. Less than 48 hours later, both suspects were arrested. The city of Tulsa, once again, was grappling with a violent, senseless crime that made no distinction between the innocent and the unlucky. John Fitzgerald Hanson wasn't new to crime. Born in 1973, he grew up in Arkansas in a turbulent household. His father abandoned the family. His mother worked 2 jobs, and by age 12, Hanson was bouncing between foster homes. By his late teens, he had accumulated a criminal record that included armed robbery, car theft, and drug trafficking. But Hanson wasn't just another repeat offender. He was also extremely intelligent. Psychiatrists later described him as articulate, persuasive, and manipulative. He drifted between states, living under aliases and committing crimes across Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas. At the time of Mary Bowles' murder, Hanson was already wanted for federal weapons charges and multiple bank robberies. His accomplice, Miller, was a fellow career criminal. Together, they were part of a loosely organized criminal circle operating in the South. But what set Hanson apart wasn't just the violence, it was what happened after his arrest. Because while Miller was convicted and locked away in Oklahoma, Hanson disappeared into the federal system. In 2001, Victor Miller was convicted of capital murder in Oklahoma court. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. He received life without parole. John Hanson, meanwhile, was never handed over to the state. In a stunning legal twist, the federal government charged him first for unrelated crimes, including armed robbery and illegal firearm possession. He was sentenced to life plus 107 years in federal prison. That's when things got complicated. Oklahoma filed murder charges. A state judge signed a detainer. But the Bureau of Prisons refused to transfer custody. Federal law gave them discretion, and for 20 years, they exercised it. Why? Some speculate Hanson had given up information to federal authorities. Others say it was bureaucratic red tape. In 2022, Oklahoma tried again, scheduling Hanson's execution. But the feds blocked it. In 2024, Attorney General Gentner Drummond made Hanson's transfer a priority. After months of negotiations, he finally secured federal cooperation. By early 2025, Hanson was back in Oklahoma, and the countdown began. In May 2025, just weeks before his execution, Hanson appeared before Oklahoma's Pardon and Parole Board. His legal team presented a new narrative. John Hanson, they claimed, was on the autism spectrum, easily manipulated by Miller, and incapable of forming the intent to kill. They showed letters from his prison chaplain describing his transformation. Hanson himself gave a statement, his first public comment in 25 years. He wept, apologized, said Mary Bowles deserved more than he could give. But the victims' families weren't moved. They argued Hanson had evaded justice for decades and that his remorse was self-serving. Jake Thurman, son of Jerald, said, "I watched my mother die without closure. We lived 26 years in silence. This man deserves no more time." The board voted 3-2 against clemency, but the decision sparked backlash. Advocacy groups pointed out that one of the no votes came from a board member who had worked under the same DA that prosecuted the case. A new lawsuit was filed, alleging conflict of interest. Still, the date stood, June 12, 2025. As of this recording, John Hanson remains on death watch. Unless a court intervenes, he will die by lethal injection at 10 a.m. on June 12, 2025. He is one of 6 men Oklahoma plans to execute this year, part of the state's accelerated capital punishment schedule. Supporters of the execution say it closes a chapter that has tormented families for 26 years. Critics argue it's a symbol of delayed justice, or worse, state-sanctioned revenge. For Mary Bowles' loved ones, the debate is academic. They waited more than 2 decades for this moment. Now, they'll finally see it come to an end. On the morning of June 12, 2025, John Fitzgerald Hanson was executed by lethal injection at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAllister. The procedure was carried out using Oklahoma's standard 3-drug cocktail: midazolam, a sedative to induce unconsciousness, vecuronium bromide to halt respiration, and potassium chloride to stop the heart, according to sources. Hanson was pronounced dead at 10:11 a.m. Central Time, with officials describing the execution as uneventful. Before the lethal drugs were administered, Hanson spoke his final words. "Just forgive me, and peace to everyone." No information has been released about a last meal, and it remains unclear whether Hanson made any special requests. With his death, one of Oklahoma's most drawn-out capital cases, spanning over 2 decades, has officially come to a close. Thanks for watching this episode of True Crime Briefing. If you believe stories like these deserve to be told, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep-dive crime documentaries. What's your take? Was justice served? Or was this too little, too late? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and stay briefed.